the Sunday night dread, the endless to-do list that haunts your sleep, the constant ping of notifications on your phone, a digital tether that never lets you truly disconnect, the feeling that you are a human doing rather than a human being. This is the air we breathe. We live in the cult of the hustle, a culture that glorifies burnout and wears exhaustion as a badge of honor. We have become slaves to the tyranny of the urgent. But what if I told you that the secret to a truly productive and creative life is not found in working harder, but in resting wiser? What if the key to a fruitful 6 days of work is a radical, intentional, and glorious one day of doing no work at all? Today, we are exploring one of the most ancient, most misunderstood, and most desperately needed ideas in the entire Bible. We are uncovering the lost art of the Sabbath. And we will discover that this is not an outdated, restrictive, religious rule. It is a divine gift. It is an invitation to freedom, a blueprint for a sustainable life, and the surprising secret to doing your most effective and creative work. The story of the Sabbath doesn't begin with a rule. It begins with a rhythm, woven into the very fabric of creation. In the first pages of Genesis, we see a God who is a worker, a creator. For 6 days, he brings form to the formless, he speaks light into the darkness, he crafts a world teeming with beauty and life. And at the end of each day, he pauses and declares that his work is good. But then, on the 7th day, something different happens. The scripture says, "On the 7th day God had finished his work of creation, so he rested from all his work." Now, God is infinite. He does not get tired.
So, why did he rest?
He rested to enjoy his creation. He rested to declare that the work was complete, that it was good, and that it was time to celebrate it. The Sabbath, from its very inception, is a celebration of a finished work. It establishes the divine rhythm for human life, 6 days of creative, purposeful work, followed by 1 day of joyful, celebratory rest. It teaches us a profound truth. Our identity is not based on what we produce, but on who we are as beings created in the image of a God who both works and rests. This rhythm is so foundational that God places it at the heart of his 10 commandments, right alongside, "You shall not murder," and "You shall not steal." But he gives 2 distinct reasons for this command, and together they unlock its true power. In Exodus, he says to remember the Sabbath because God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. It's a call to imitate the creative rhythm of God. But years later, as Moses repeats the law to a new generation in Deuteronomy, he gives a different reason. He says, "Remember that you were slaves in Egypt and that the Lord your God brought you out of there with a mighty hand. Therefore the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day." This is the game changer. The Sabbath is not just an imitation of creation, it is a declaration of liberation. A slave never rests. A slave's value is based solely on their productivity, on their ability to work 24/7. By commanding his people to rest 1 day in 7, God was giving them a weekly Independence Day. To choose to rest is a radical act of defiance. It is to declare, "I am not a slave. I am not a machine. My worth is not in my work. I am a free child of God, and I will trust him to provide for me, even when I am not working." Our modern world is full of its own rules that make it hard to truly rest. What is the biggest obstacle that keeps you from experiencing a true Sabbath peace in your own life? Is it your phone, your to-do list, or the feeling that you should be doing more? Share below. Over the centuries, this beautiful gift of rest became twisted into a heavy, legalistic burden. By Jesus' time, the religious leaders had added hundreds of man-made rules, turning a day of freedom into a day of fear. And Jesus, in his radical wisdom, came to restore the Sabbath to its original purpose. When confronted for healing a man on the Sabbath, he made this revolutionary statement: "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." He was reminding us that rest is not a test to prove our piety, it is a gift to restore our souls. It is a gift from a loving Father for our benefit, for our physical renewal, our spiritual connection, our relational joy. And this leads us to the secret of the title. How does this ancient practice actually make us more productive? First, it leads to restoration. Our minds and bodies are not computers that can run indefinitely. They need time to recharge, to heal, and to process. A true day of rest prevents burnout, lowers stress, and allows us to return to our work on day one with renewed energy, focus, and creativity. You will do better work in 6 days than you will in 7 days of exhaustion. Second, it provides perspective. When you are constantly in the trenches of your work, you lose sight of the bigger picture. A day of rest is a day to zoom out. It's a day to remember your why. By stepping away from the urgent, you regain clarity on what is truly important. You solve problems more creatively because your mind has had a chance to breathe. And finally, and most importantly, the Sabbath is an act of trust. This is the ultimate secret. To choose to stop working is a profound act of faith. It is a tangible declaration that the success of our lives and our work does not depend solely on our own effort. It is a statement of trust that God is in control, that He is our provider. It is the faith to believe that we can accomplish more in 6 days of spirit-led work and 1 day of spirit-filled rest than we ever could in 7 days of anxious, self-reliant striving. The Sabbath is God's loving invitation to step off the hamster wheel of the hustle culture. It is not a law that binds us, but a rhythm that frees us. True, lasting productivity is never born from a place of burnout. It is born from a place of peace. And that peace is found in the courageous, liberating, and life-giving rhythm of rest. If this message about the lost art of the Sabbath has inspired you to find a new rhythm in your own life, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Join us as we continue to mine the Bible for timeless wisdom that can heal our modern world.